Welcome to Lesson 3 of Assessment 101, Section 2, Artifact Mapping. In this section, we will be discussing the four-step assessment process, the artifact mapping process, the 3 ways to assess your program, and the use of rubrics in artifact mapping and assessment. Most of the time, assessment is viewed as a 4-step process. 1. Provide opportunities for student learning that align to the program's SLOs. 2. Gather data related to that SLO. 3. Evaluate and interpret the data. And 4. Use the results to plan improvements. The curriculum map will come in handy for the first step. However, how do you go about creating the plan to gather data? By using the curriculum map to create an artifact map. An artifact map visually depicts the chosen accessible assignments in the program's curriculum. It is very simple to create. One of the goals of an artifact map is to find and contain the direct evidence that your program will use when assessing. One of the first questions most people ask when starting an artifact map is, when do I start assessing? There are 3 different ways to start assessing your program. The first is summative assessment only. This assesses student performance on an SLO at the end or near the end of a program. The second is endpoint assessment. This is completing both summative and formative assessments over a period of time where assessments start near or at the beginning of a program. The third is beginning, middle, and end assessment. This assessment examines growth before and after the completion of the program. It allows for extra opportunities to improve before students enter the program. Some questions you should ask to understand which assessment process is best for you and your program are: what data is the most important to you and your program's faculty? Which data points should you establish to give you the best opportunity to assess the entire program? And what level of assessment can my program handle? A workload can be a determining factor for which assessment process you choose. To start your artifact map, you must first establish the ideal process your program will use. Then you must use your curriculum map to establish what the assessment points are for the program. Here you can see what assignments your students will complete. Continue this process for each of your program's SLOs. This will give your program a wide range of direct evidence of student learning. Once this process is complete, artifact mapping can begin. We spoke in depth about program-level rubrics in the last lesson. Now is where that rubric comes into play. Rubrics are considered the best practice when assessing artifacts. This assessment can be done by the faculty that teaches the course or as a group evaluation. Sometimes group evaluations may not be the best strategy for some programs due to time conflicts. The faculty should decide which assessment strategy will best fit their program in regards to validity, time, and program culture. When using rubrics, it is encouraged to use the same rubric for all evaluations. Remember that program-level rubrics cover broad categories of SLOs, whereas assignment-level rubrics cover only specified assignments in that course. In addition, it is important to note that program evaluation scores are not the same as grades. A student may ace the assignment, but not score very high on the program evaluation. Program-level rubrics should measure against the ideas of degree-level students. Instead of rubrics, your program may choose to use scoring guides. While these may not provide evaluators with defined levels of student performance for a specific outcome, scoring guides are better than basing your assessment on a final grade that does not accurately measure student learning. If your program decides to base assessment upon specific final test questions, see if those specific questions directly align with your program's student learning outcomes. In this section of Lesson 3, we discussed the 4-step assessment process, artifact mapping, the 3 different assessment processes, and rubric and scoring guides. If you have any questions or need further clarification, please use the contact information on your screen.